G'day humans, Chris Stead here. Today we're comparing the just announced Thermomix TM7 with its predecessor, the TM6. We're going to dive into the specifications, the design and the future of this multi-cooker phenomenon and see what's the difference, what's changed, what's upgraded. Let's do it. Now it's been 6 years since the TM6 came out, so that's quite a long time. It's an age in the technology space to be sure. And look, that entire time has pretty much been the king, a real phenomenon in the multi-cooker space. They're kind of all in one. I think they say that they can replace 20 different kitchen appliances with the Thermomix, and there's absolutely been some alternatives that emerged in the years between the TM6 launch and the upcoming TM7 launch that have fill gaps here and there, but potentially, arguably, no one's done it quite as well. But you certainly pay for it. It's got a hefty asking price, so it needs to deliver. Now, I've already done a video that dives into a bit of an initial review of what the TM7 is offering, so you can go check that out. But this video is more for people who are thinking, do I need to upgrade? Should I be upgrading from my TM6 to my TM7? To a TM7, or for those of you who have been saving for a TM6 and are now wondering, should I go on, keep saving, get that TM7, or should I try and pick up a deal as people who are looking to upgrade try and flog off their TM6s for a cheap price on a second-hand market. So this is this kind of people who are umming and ahhing now. What do I do? Do I upgrade? Do I go for the TM7? Do I try and get a cheap TM6? This is who I am talking to in this video. So let's dive in and go in deep. What are the differences between the Thermomix TM6 and the Thermomix TM7? So as mentioned, let's start with the release date. So the TM6, as mentioned, came out 6 years ago, back in March 2019, whereas the TM7 will start shipping and taking pre-orders in April 2025. Now they have stated to us, the journalists, that there could be up to a 14-week delay in Europe with shipping, and definitely we're not going to be seeing anything in Australia before July 2025. They haven't confirmed anything officially, but my speculation is it'll probably start landing in Australian kitchens closer to that, September, October period, maybe even November, but definitely this year in 2025. Now on the price front, more or less the same, hasn't been a big change. So in Australia, the TM6 retails for $2,579. Whereas the TM7 is going to come in at $2,649. So a $70 difference there. A little bit of a step up, but it's marginal. Although it's worth noting that there's also a subscription service, which is the Cookidoo recipe subscription service, which is an additional $89 a year. You obviously don't need that, but the system is very much built to rely on it. So chances are you'll be reaching into your pocket for another $90 a year ongoing. Now with the colors, the TM6, that was predominantly white, we now have it in black. And then there's a bit more to that than just trying to look a bit more modern and a bit more sleek, that I'll go into in a sec. But yeah, so we're going from white to a black look. And yeah, I love it. I think the new look looks fantastic. Now the engine and motor is still being made by Wuppertal Laken in Germany, and the construction is still happening in France. So things haven't been moved off to the side, put into China like we're seeing with so many other products, and that's definitely reflected in the asking price. Now I mentioned before about black and white. Now what the black does allow for them to do is do more with recycled materials. So there were no recycled materials, or not specifically touted. Sustainability wasn't as big in 2019 as it nowadays. But with the TM7, definitely being on the front foot with sustainability, pointing out that there are recycled materials in there, if staying short of saying what percentage of the construction is recycled. Now on the mixing bowl side of things, not much change. We're looking at, well, no change. Looking at 2.2 litres in the TM6, it's still 2.2 litres in the TM7. Their argument is that helps them not change any of the recipes, because the recipes can stay the same. They've got something like 100,000 recipes in Cookidoo service, and they will still work with the TM7 because the mixing bowl is the same size. I'm pushing back on that. I think that's a bit lazy. I think today with all the computational power, AI, all that kind of thing, I don't think it's too hard to do simple math and readjust the recipes to fit a new size mixing bowl. But either way, they haven't gone that way, and it's a bit of a disappointment because that 2.2 litres, it's good, but when you're trying to do big family meals, there's 5 of us in our family, it was cutting it pretty fine. And I think a lot of people would have liked to have seen more done with the mixing bowl. Mixing bowl does have new insulation. So I've just referred to the TM6. It was obviously upgraded back then, but we're calling that standard. Now we've got a more improved insulation, which is not just going to retain heat better and stop heat from coming from the inside out, so it's going to be safer to handle. It's also going to work on trapping sound, which I think is a really big thing because boy can they get loud, those old Thermomixes. Now, I mentioned that the capacity of the bowl hadn't changed, but the capacity overall of the Thermomix TM7 has, and that's because of a bigger Vorwerk. So it was 5.5 litres, like a full overall capacity on the Thermomix TM6. It's now 6.8 litres. So we've got more going on there. And that's because the Vorwerk itself has changed. So it was, kind of more of a circular design in the TM6. Now it's a rectangular design in the TM7, and it's got about 45% increase in steaming space as a result. Now, the mixing blade hasn't changed. It's the one thing between the two devices that's actually completely as it was. It's identical in both devices. I thought it's worth pointing out because everything else has been redesigned. It's just the mixing blade which carries across. Now, the new TM7 introduces open lid cooking, which means you can open the lid while it's cooking up to a speed of 2.5. You couldn't do that in the TM6. We don't know what's changed with the weighing side of things specifically. Like the TM6 was obviously integrated weighing, up to 3 kilograms, up in 1 gram increments it could kind of measure. Now what they're talking about is that the new one is going to be a twin mirrored system with real-time weighing and step-by-step guidance. And I felt like it was real-time weighing in the TM6, to be honest, but now they're specifically saying that these twin mirrors are going to provide real-time weighing and guidance in the recipes. So that'll be interesting to see how that actually plays out. Potentially one of the most obvious changes on the front of the base, besides that cool new design, is the LCD display. So it was 6.8 inches in the TM6. It is now 10 inches in the TM7, so quite a substantial increase there. They haven't gone into details yet on whether or not there's been a resolution bump, but they are talking about being a crisper and easier to read image, which suggests to me that they've probably stepped up the resolution as well. I would suspect it's 1080p. I don't think there's any need for 4K, yeah, so there's definitely been an improvement there on the touchscreen. Now, as a result of that, the analog dial that was available in the TM6 is now gone in the TM7, so you can't do that tangible kind of hands-on interaction with the device. You have to use the touchscreen or integration that is available through the PC or smartphone apps. The new device is designed to be software upgradable, so the TM7s are designed to be software upgradable to be able to add new features over time, which wasn't specifically something that the TM6 was looking to do. Now, obviously the design you can see much different now, so it's that the cradle effect, that's what I call it, the cradle effect that we saw in the TM6 is gone. We now have a cradleless design where that kind of mixing bowl, there's actually kind of two mixing bowls. There's the black outer machine and then the mixing bowl that goes into that. But what that does also allow is for 360-degree access. So you don't have to access it just from the front, which you had to do with the TM6. Now you can access it from any direction with the TM7 and pull it out and interact with it, which is going to be great for people with kitchens that need that flexibility in order to work well. Now the Cookidoo recipe service, a subscription service, it was integrated with the TM6. It's still integrated with the TM7, but they're specifically calling out now personalized profiles and customizable recipes. Plus, in the box, you will get a 3-month trial as well in order to test it out. The spatula has also changed. So it had improved in the TM6 over the TM5. They kind of had a softer, easy to use material. Now it's got a new design again, inspired by Japanese santoku knife. And that's said to be a lot more versatile. Now there are some things that we don't quite know just yet what the specifications are going to be, so they haven't spoken about the dimensions. I can show you there the dimensions of the TM6 and the weight of the TM6, but I can't show you what those will be for the TM7 as yet. Same with the cooking functions, but when I look at it, it looks to me like a much smaller device. It's definitely, without that cradle at the back, it's definitely going to be less dense. It's going to take up less volume and feel less big on your kitchen bench, regardless of whether or not the dimensions and the weight are significantly different. The design itself is going to play a role in just making it feel like a much more beautiful piece of your kitchen's decor. Now, in terms of the connectivity Back on the TM6, we had Wi-Fi 5, we had Bluetooth 4.2. That's obviously quite outdated standards now. We don't know what they're going to be on the TM7, other than to say that they've talked about Cookidoo being much more seamless and much more integrated, which to me, because it was already pretty integrated, talks to just a lot more responsive integration with the internet and with devices. So I'm expecting at the very minimum Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3, but we might see even Wi-Fi 7. And finally, they haven't gone to the specifics of the motor. So we know that it was a 500 watt Vorwerk reluctance motor on that TM6 with a 40 to 10,700 RPM speed range, 40 being that kind of slow stir. We don't know what the specifics are for the TM7, other than to say that they have said it will be more powerful, and they've also said it would be more quiet. In fact, they're calling it a truly silent motor, which would be awesome because the quieter these things are, the better in your living space. So there you go, guys. That's a detailed breakdown of the differences as we know them as it currently stands between the Thermomix TM7 and the Thermomix TM6. So that's all information that I've received directly from the PR. So is the footage and the stills that you've seen during this presentation. So that's all official content and official news. So yeah, there's a few things that we still need to know about. Obviously the dimensions, the motor, the connectivity, a few little bits and pieces there. I'm interested to see what waterproof rating they're going to have on that screen now that it's all screen. So you're going to be interacting with that with fingers covered in potentially food or moisture and stuff like that. It's going to be in that splash zone. It's an upgraded screen. What type of waterproofing, weatherproofing have they got around that? That's going to be quite interesting for sure. And I definitely want to know about backwards compatibility. So what is going to work from the TM6, even the TM5, because they were compatible. So what's going to work there with the TM7? Like, is your spare mixing bowl going to work? Other accessories like grating accessories and additions, are they going to work with the TM7? That's still something that hasn't been offered up just yet. But what we do know is that from mid-April 2025, you will be able to pre-order it here in Australia, and that will come your way this year. And overseas, you'll be able to pre-order it, and it also will start getting shipped around that time. You can also, around the mid-April mark, go into retailers and test it out and have a look for yourself before you throw your money down. So that might be something you might be keen to do as well. But look, let me know your thoughts. Get in the comments. What are you thinking? Are you in? Are you out? Are you going to wait a little bit longer and see what's going on? It's a big expense, and you definitely want to be making sure that the decision you do is right for you and your family. In order to do that kind of thing, definitely keep your eyes on my channel, subscribe. I'm always putting up stuff around home appliances, kitchen appliances, and just trying to help parents make informed decisions about these significant investments that they have to make in life nowadays. So make sure you keep an eye on the channel for that. I'm Chris Stead. Thank you very much for watching. And until next time, I'll check you later. You.